as the dumpsters move. That'll be fine.
Fair enough.
Okay.
Do we have additional fencing where you could make the work area a little bit larger?
Because she owns a lot additional, next to her as well.
I don't
It
know
is
how
tight.
much fencing
When
you
I
got,
drove by
Josh.
there,
but-
it is pretty tight around the structure.
It's not so much our fencing, it's her fencing. Her fencing, that 4-foot fence on the north side of her property is right there on that front, that would have been I guess the back door porch. And there's only maybe 2 feet of room there. So there, unless she takes down her fencing,
Okay.
she could, and then she had all that room there. But, and then, of course, we would have the ability to put in a mobile gate there, because right now it's all hooked together and bolted together. We'd remove that and put the chain there, just like we did on the driveway side. But it could, but her fence is in the way.
Also, the house on Michigan, the blue house, that roof is starting to cave in on itself. So I want to keep an eye out on that since we have condemned that.
Right, and that property owner, he's, I think I'm scheduled to meet him, if it's not next week, it's the following. So it's a follow-up with him, but I can move that up, that's not a problem, he lives in the back, so, and mother-in-law suite.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything? No? Okay. We are going to move on to the consent agenda,
Need to pull item 4.
okay? Commissioner Reardon wants to pull item 4. Anything else? No? All right, do I have a motion to approve the consent agenda minus item 4?
So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Robinson. Do I have a second?
A second.
I'm sorry, Commissioner Tapley?
I
Yeah.
second.
A second from Commissioner Tapley. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Warren Robinson,
Aye.
Mark Tapley,
Aye.
Nick Paul,
Aye.
Stephen Burnett,
Aye.
Josh Rudin,
Aye.
Sharon McDonald,
Aye.
Susan Payne.
Aye. Motion passes 7-0, and we're going to move on to items removed from the consent agenda. Item 4, consider and act upon ordinance 1691 for final publication.
The only reason I pulled this is so I can abstain like I did last time, as well as you.
What was this?
This is the one for Lance Grace.
The
Oh,
storage
yes. Thank you.
Yep.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
I didn't even see that. Okay. So, do I have any other comments, any other questions? Okay, do I have a motion to approve item 4?
unit. So moved.
I have a motion from Commissioner Burnett. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Warren Robinson,
Aye.
Mark Tapley,
Aye.
Nick Paul,
Aye.
Stephen Burnett,
Aye.
Josh Rudin,
Abstain.
Sharon McDonald,
Aye.
Susan Payne.
And I'm going to abstain. And motion passes 5 with 2 abstentions? Is that how we say that? Abstention? Is that a word? It is now. Okay. We're going to move on to item 6, public hearings. Public hearings, item 6, consider and act upon all evidence for and against the removal of approved resolution 2024-13 due to the written objection of the property owner. The commission will determine if the resolution should be enforced or rescinded. Resolution 2024-13 was to declare 613 Delaware Avenue to be so ruined, damaged, and dilapidated that it's a menace to the public comfort, health, peace, or safety, and ordering its abatement. And I believe we have the property owner here.
We do. Madam Mayor, I do have to swear everyone that's going to speak on this item before
Yes.
you start with the public hearing.
Okay. Give me just a minute. She's going to swear all of you in.
First, I want to say that, okay.
Yeah, sorry. Sorry, Mr. Summers. She has to swear you in. Okay.
Please raise your right hand. And then one at a time, if you can state your name. State your name for the record.
Edward Summers.
And repeat.
Frank Martinez.
Okay, keep your right hand raised. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you are about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We'll go ahead and hear from Mr. Summers first.
Mayor,
Or-
I'm just here to help him
He can't really hear.
Gotcha.
The hearing aids I use at church, that the church furnishes, works real good, but yours don't work good and mine don't work good.
We'll have to work on that one.
And that's why I brought Frank with me.
Okay.
And so what I want to say is I prayed for everyone here before I even came here. I prayed, dear God, help me what I should speak, what I should do. I want to be honest and truthful as I can be. I made phone calls to every one of the commissioners, and I made the phone call to mayor quite some time ago, and I only got 3 responses. The mayor answered me a long time ago, okay? 2 responses answered me, and that was Nick Paul and Josh Reardon, okay? 2 others said the mailbox had not been set up yet. And 2 others, I left a message and they never called back. And called the city manager and he didn't call back. So I pray for you all. That don't mean that I'm better than you are. I just think that you should answer every call. This is a very important matter. Whenever you ask somebody to tear a house down, and I looked at it good, and it's repairable. And but a false report has been given that it's not repairable. And I got to be honest as I can be. I built a 2-story building myself, and I live upstairs and downstairs my workshop and storage. And if anybody wants to see it, they can drive by 10 Cotton Avenue, and that's where it's at. And I'm a plumber. I'm not a licensed plumber. And I got some false reports from the code enforcement. It said that I consider a false report. A dog can urinate and he can defecate on the property, but you're not allowed to let the kitchen sink water to drain out on the lawn. The pipe was plugged up, the sewer pipe, so I had to make it go out somewhere until I get that fixed. And the woman that was renting that house from me, she put up with that for about 4 days without water. Finally, she moved out. She complained to the city. They didn't do anything about it. The next day after it was declared that she could no longer have her water on, the very next day, the water was shut off. Didn't give no 7-day notice, nothing. They shut the water off the very next day. Her name is Donna Guerrero. You can call her and talk to her if you want to, and she'll verify what I'm saying. And so she moved out, and I got it rented to somebody else. I said, well, there's no water service to it yet. And she said, I'll rent it like it is, and I'll wait until we get water service. Finally, we got water service. I had to go through a lot of problems to get water service. And
Can I interrupt for just 1 second? Are we talking about 613 Delaware?
No.
We're not, right? Okay, because I'm looking at this and going, there's no way anybody rented
He's
this.
talking about, I think 612 Teresa Lane.
Okay. Can we stick to,
16.
can
He
we,
wants to talk about.
can we stick to 613 Delaware? That's what we're here for.
We're here for Delaware, not for,
Yeah, the reason I mentioned about 1616 Teresa is because they made mistakes before, so I just want to point that out.
Yeah, okay, but let's stick to Delaware, okay? Let's
Okay.
talk about Delaware. Okay.
And the code enforcement does not seem to be on my side at all. And although they're nice people, Josh Sides is a nice person, Jeremy Otero is a nice person. I guess he is, because I don't know him very well. But he's the one that had the water shut off the very next day. Aren't you supposed to give some kind of a notice to somebody?
Okay, but are we talking about Delaware? We've got to stick to
Well,
Delaware,
well,
okay?
I'm sorry.
Delaware.
Okay,
I'm sorry, I got mixed up.
that's okay, that's all right.
Okay. Concerning the house at 613 Delaware Avenue, this is my reply. This house has good adobe walls and foundation, and I believe it is worth saving considering the high cost of new building materials. I put in, Miranda Electric Company did, that is, a new electric meter loop to do this work. However, it does need some exterior work done in it and painting, which I was planning to do this year. The inside can be made to look like new. That should be no time limit for me to get that done, since it will not affect its outward appearance. And the storage building in the back, which is 14 foot by 24 foot, is in good condition except for the outside siding in the back, which is worth saving, repairing. I put a new roof on it about 1 or 2 years ago. I think that should allow me to do the outside work on these buildings by the end of the year or sooner. What does it matter to you how it looks on the inside if the windows are boarded up and the people cannot see on the outside, on the inside, and the weeds are kept under control? But if you are determined for me to have this building removed, then I will do it. But I believe the city should pay for having it removed. It costs about as much to remove it as it does to repair it. So why not repair it? It'll do somebody some good. Because my Holy Bible tells me to do so in 1 Peter 2 verse 13, I'm supposed to obey the laws of the land. This building is not occupied. I well know how unfair some of the city laws are. For instance, I mentioned it about 1616 Teresa Lane. And Josh Sides told me the law does not forbid a dog to urinate in the yard, but he forbids the sink water to go into the yard. Okay. My phone number is, and I gave the phone number here. Please do not send me any costly certified mail. They cost about 15 times as much as ordinary. They call me on the phone, and I think some of the people of the city are disappointed in me because I refuse certified mail. They're costing taxpayers a lot of money for certified mail. And I wrote on here, the mayor is not in favor of this, because I spoke to the mayor some time ago, and she's in favor of retaining some of the things that I disagree with. And the 6 commissioners, 4 of them did not answer my call, and so I didn't call the mayor this time. I have called only Nick Paul and Josh Reardon contacted me, and the new city manager did not respond either. And
I think that was the previous
I think
city
that if the city wants me to tear that house down, that they should pay for removing it. It's going to cost me that much money to repair it. So I'm not condemning anybody. I'm just saying that if you make a law like that, then you should be able to pay for removing it. No hard feelings.
What, the situation, though, that he's talking about was the previous city manager, yeah.
No, I think he's referencing me because he called at the meeting that his property was scheduled. He called about 5:30 in the afternoon after I was already in here.
Right.
And so it went to a voicemail, and no, I did not return the call the following day because the action had already been taken.
Right, but
And-
the property
yes.
that he's talking about on Teresa Lane is what he's
Yes,
talking about.
okay.
Yeah.
So
What are your plans with the building, with the house?
he wanted to, I guess, repair it.
I mean, he has 2 years to do so.
Yep, okay.
Well, it's boarded up, so he
Yeah.
has, how long do you
Year,
have
I
if
guess
it's
a
boarded
year.
up? Is it a year? I think it's a year, right? Yeah.
Well, this is the second time we've been in that house at 613 Delaware. I said, because 2 years ago, we were in it, and there was a walkthrough, and nothing has been done since then.
Since then, yeah.
And so this is the second time, and I
So-
would like to go on record as saying, I did not get a call from you at all.
Not that I remember, I didn't either. but-
I mean, the incident with Teresa Lane was quite a while ago, so even I had to think about that for a second. So let me just start by saying this. Can he hear us? Can he hear us?
No, I can't.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you, and then if he can't
Okay.
hear us, you can explain it. The reason we send letters certified mail is because it is the only way we have to prove,
The reason they send those certified mail,
yeah, is because that's the only way we have to prove that they got it. So if he doesn't sign for it, when it comes before the commission, all we know is a letter was tried to be delivered, and it was not delivered, it was returned.
yeah.
What we see, well, I won't speak for anybody else, but what I hear when I hear that is, you're not interested in what the city has to say. Do you
Yeah.
see what I mean?
Yeah.
I-
I was
it-
there, I was there when the mailman came in, and all he did was sign it and told him to return it. And
Yeah,
not to
well,
waste taxpayer money, and
that
but
kind of hurts him because,
I try to make him understand that, to take it so he can read it,
right.
but he won't even.
Right. Okay, so I just wanted to get that out of the way first.
Okay.
So it's probably in his best interest to take the letter.
Okay.
But regardless
She
of
said
that,
that, when they send you the certified mail, for you to receive it and open it up, that's their proof that you got that.
Well, I told him, call me on the phone.
yeah, we can't do that. But
They can't do that.
but let's move on from that. I just wanted him to understand that,
Send me a regular
Yeah, no,
letter
that's
and
not
call
gonna
me on the
happen.
phone both.
that's not going to
I'll
happen. You
come and pick
understand
it
what I'm
up.
saying,
Yeah,
right?
I
Okay,
understand.
all
I'll
right.
come and pick it up.
Mayor,
So let's-
I have a question.
Yes.
Let's say if he decides to repair the house, can he do it, or he has to hire a licensed plumber, a licensed electrician, a licensed?
Yeah, of course, he has to hire
And he has
license.
to have a permit? for-
Absolutely, absolutely.
so
That's
he
not,
he
that's not a city thing, that's a state thing. That is not us as a city saying this is the state that requires this. So absolutely, unfortunately, I mean, that's what happened on Teresa Lane. He tried to, I believe, build his own septic system or something, wasn't
If
it?
he's not doing anything structurally to the building,
No,
if
they
he's just
asked me
doing
about
drywall.
plumbing and
That's what I'm
electrical.
saying, but if he's doing just basic plumbing, setting commodes, that kind of stuff, drywall, painting,
Right.
any of that stuff, it does not require license, does not
I
require.
feel
Yeah.
like this is going to require a little more than that.
It just depends on if it's structural. I don't remember the pictures. I don't think they're in here. so
Yeah, they're in
They're
here.
in there.
I haven't gotten that
It's been
far.
burnt
Mayor?
inside. He's gonna-
Yes,
As a homeowner, he should be allowed to work on some of that as long as, like I say, if he's reframing roofs, that kind of stuff, then he'll have to have permits. He
I
won't
retired
necessarily.
from Fort Bliss, from civil service. And I used to work in housing. That's how I'm helping him. But I was trying to make him understand that, you need a license, a licensed electrician, a license.
right. I feel like none of that is in here now, right? Does this have any electrical at all? Do you know?
It has electrical, but it's outdated.
Okay. So
It
that's
has
going to
that,
require a licensed
Yeah, it
electrician.
has a lit,
Yeah,
plus it caught on fire, so I think
Yeah.
the majority of the wires and everything burned
Yeah,
up.
here's the picture of the fire.
And I want to show you something
yeah.
here.
Oh, well.
This here was posted on the house back and front, and it says notice of condemnation, and it says code
Right.
official, and it
So-
looks like he can't even write his name so you can read it.
Okay, so here's, and again, I'm not going to speak for anybody
And it
else, but
don't
what
have
I'm
his
going to
name.
say is,
It don't have his name typed underneath there or nothing.
Right.
And
It-
this here blowed off the house, I didn't remove it, because it says here you're not supposed to remove it. The wind must have blown off. And,
well, darn, okay.
And this is here
But
is
here's-
laminated, that costs a lot of money to laminate.
Here's, okay. Here's the thing. If he would have picked up his letter, he would have known that we had that,
That's what I try to
right?
make him understand.
And he would have known about this, right? But
I can't
because he
really-
wouldn't, no, I get it. Here's my thing, and again, I'm only going to speak for myself. My feeling is, if you can't get an insurance company to insure your structure, it's probably pretty bad.
Yeah.
And I think we can all agree that you're never going to find an insurance company that would insure this, right? And so for me, that's my first sort of, again, I'm not speaking for anybody else up here. I'm only speaking for myself. But my first thing is, can it be insured? And if it can't, then we know there's no insurance on it. Well, then I say, okay, so if there's no insurance on this, and let's say a homeless person breaks into it and starts squatting in there, or let's say some kids, Lord forbid, get in there.
They did for a
And one
while.
of, okay, they did for a while, there you go. And one of them is injured or killed. Who do you think that they're going to sue? They're not going to sue somebody that, well, they might be able to get money. I don't know what is financial. But do you see what I'm saying? Like, if we know about this, if we as a city know about this, we understand that this is a potential liability, which is why Josh went out there to begin with, and we don't do something, then we're just as culpable. And it's really not even about for me, it's about somebody being injured or killed in here. That's what, clearly there's already been a fire in here.
I know that he's not gonna get insurance, because in all his rentals, he doesn't have insurance. and-
Oh, don't tell me that. Blah, 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 I'm not listening. I'm not listening to that.
Oh.
Sorry.
So,
Seriously,
you know,
I
he
don't
won't-
want to
he
hear
won't- He
that.
won't to get insurance on that one, because to start off, they won't even to insure it.
Do you understand our obligation?
Yes, I understand it.
No, I think.
But he doesn't
No.
understand it.
No.
Okay, does he have family besides you?
He has a son.
Yeah. You
His
need
name,
to, you
is
need
it-
to let them know as city officials. She just said it beautiful. We're trying to protect
Yeah,
the city.
yes, sir. I understand.
And so if he can't understand that, then you may want to talk to his son about moving this on.
The son already had told him to sell everything and get rid of it. The church was trying to buy the two houses to tear it down.
Which church?
The Catholic Church.
And?
Immaculate. The church that's next to it, Immaculate.
And they
Conception.
haven't had any success?
He wants too much.
Okay,
Oh,
all right.
But
That
the
helps
church
me
was gonna knock
understand.
it down and extend a parking lot for their,
I understand now.
yeah.
Okay.
and.
Well, we have obligations
I talked
to
to the
protect,
senator- I
we have
talked to the-
obligations
yeah.
to protect the city.
Yeah.
And
I understand.
that's where we stand, because we would be liable
Yeah.
if something happened.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that's always what I go to first. It's not, nobody, we're not picking on him. You know
Yeah.
that, right?
Yes, sir.
I know that you understand that. You and I
Oh,
have
yeah.
had conversations. We're not picking on him, but it's not fair to the homeowners around him. It's not fair to people that have to live in that area. And it is it's a huge liability for him.
Yeah.
I mean, that scares me, that
Well,
what
that's
you
why-
just told me, I'm trying really hard to pretend I didn't just hear what I heard, but
but you know,
that's an issue.
yeah. And like I say, I told him that me and you go back then, because, you know, back then when I used to feed the homeless at the House of Prayer, they used to donate to
And that's fine.
our church, so I know you from back then. So I try to explain
Yes.
to him that, you know, the person that you are, but he's in his own
It's okay.
little world.
There's a lot of people that don't like me. That's cool.
Yeah.
I sleep well
I
at
like
night.
it. So,
I sleep well at night. It's
yeah,
okay.
Me too. But, I understand where you're coming from, but
This is governance. We have to move on.
yeah.
We
All
can't,
right,
we
so
can't,
with-
we can't be mired in confusion. And the law states that, Josh has told you, we have to make the city
Yeah, I
safe.
understand where he's coming from, because I used to deal with,
Okay.
at the housing with
All right.
inspectors and all that.
Okay.
And, so
we
he
need
has
to
2
vote on
years
this?
to work on that house, or if he decides,
Yeah, I see it now.
1 year?
Yes, 1 year.
About the inside, what does it matter how it looks on the inside, as long as the outside don't look like...
It's not
the
how it
house?
looks, it's not in compliance.
So the whole house has to be done in 1 year, the whole,
He gave you the information, did
The
you read it?
inside and out.
He
So
gave you the
okay.
information.
yeah, so
1 year.
I'm looking at the pictures here, and it's,
I'll tell you.
there was obviously a fire in here.
Yes, there
Yeah.
was. There was.
Yeah, and so, yeah, I mean, the whole thing, it has to be, it has to be in compliance with our ordinances. Our ordinances are on the website. Obviously, you can read them. I know that Josh is more than, where is
Yes.
Josh? He's here somewhere.
Right here.
Oh, there you are. Oh, sorry. You were up front. Okay. I know that he's more than willing to work with him, but this is just not acceptable, and there's no way. So, does anybody else have any questions? Anybody? If not, we're going to go to a vote. Okay. Do I have a motion on item 6? It's for or against, so I need a motion on item 6.
What are they asking for?
They're asking us to, I guess, uphold the, how do you say that? Can you give me?
You've already given notice to either demolish the structure or basically bring it up to that standard. And so at this point, he's asking you to basically rescind your decision previously made where you posted the facility.
Right.
Again, nobody's trying to make anybody tear it down.
Right.
But as you already indicated, that the house is a dilapidated structure, does not in any way, shape, form, or fashion meet the minimum codes. And so if he wants to bring it up to the minimum codes within that period of time, you certainly can rescind and extend that period of time. And if
So-
not, it needs to be
Right.
demolished.
So can we get some language, Ashley, if we want to keep the resolution? Can you help us out with that?
So I guess the motion would be either the motion to rescind the resolution or
Uphold
to
it?
uphold.
Uphold the resolution. Okay, okay. So if we want to keep the resolution in place, then the motion would be to uphold the
uphold it.
resolution. So do I have a motion from somebody?
I
I'll make a motion to, oh, go ahead.
Go ahead, no,
You're
go
good,
ahead.
you're good, you're there.
I make a motion to uphold the vote from the previous
The
meeting.
resolution, so it's to uphold Resolution 2024-13. Is that your motion?
That's my motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second from Commissioner Burnett. This is not a competition, people. Okay. I have a motion from Mayor Pro Tem McDonald, a second from Commissioner Burnett. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Warren Robinson,
Aye.
Mark Tapley,
Aye.
Nick Paul,
Aye.
Stephen Burnett,
Aye.
Josh Roden,
I'm gonna vote no.
Sharon McDonald,
Aye.
Susan Payne.
Aye, motion passes 6-1. The resolution is upheld. He can speak with our code enforcement manager, and maybe they can come to, or maybe he can explain to him. I think I believe it's a year, so they can work those details out,
I already
okay?
voted on it.
Yeah, but I want to say something.
No, we're done, sorry.
Second, we're
Well,
done.
there's one thing I got to say.
No,
It's
Mr.
important.
Summers, we're done, I'm sorry. Thank you. You can speak with Josh, and maybe you guys can work that
I
out.
didn't hear everything you're saying.
I'll explain it to you.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Thank
sir.
you, thank you. Okay, we're going to move on to item 7. It is a presentation discussion on a new natatorium, and before, Belinda, before you come up, I'm going to have our public comment on that. And we are going to start with Cheyenne Cervantes? Is that right? Okay. How are you?
I'm good. How are
If you'll
you?
state your name for the record and don't be nervous,
I'll
it's
try not to be.
okay. And you know what? We have 3 commissioners that left, so I'm going to give them a minute to come back so that they can hear what you have to say, okay? And we have 2 left. I don't know why they picked down, but okay. If you give them just a minute, I think that anything you have to say is invaluable and they should hear it. So we'll give them just a minute. Okay, and when they walk back in, everybody stare at them, okay? All right. We're all looking in that direction. Commissioner Tapley's like, she's crazy. You gotta have fun, you know? You gotta lighten it up a little. We were waiting. No, it's okay.
You're fine.
This young lady has something to say, and I want to make sure everybody gets to hear it, so. Is he talking to Mr. Summers?
No, he's in the restroom.
Oh, okay.
That's Josh is talking to him.
Okay. just
He's good.
30 seconds. Okay, here we go. All right, if you will state your name for the record.
My name is Cheyenne Cervantes.
And you will get 3 minutes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I've come here today to talk about getting an auditorium for the swim team and just for like the general public. We've been struggling all year with being able to practice. We've gone to 4 pools. It's very difficult for us to train our athletes correctly, for them to reach their full potential. We've been training on base at the blind school, and it's really hard for us to just train correctly. And I believe that the natatorium would be a wonderful thing for everyone. Like, I've been swimming for 11 years, and it's been really like hard. I moved here, and I've been swimming on the high school swim team since 8th grade, and it's sad that we have to like travel about the state to like even be able to practice for like 2 hours. Like, it's very difficult. It's hard for us to even beat other teams because we're not getting the like a pool that we need. And we just went to state last weekend. We had 7 of some of the best swimmers in the state, and that's without a pool, like all year round.
I heard that. Yeah.
So I can only imagine like what they could do if they had a pool. And I mean, sorry.
No, that's okay. That's all right. You're doing great.
I just think that it'd be good, like, even for, like, the general public, because there's so many health benefits to swimming. Like, we could train the Aquashocks team, which is, like, middle school, and get them really, like, devoted to swim. Because we've had multiple new people on the team that have done so well. Like, they've dropped time like crazy. Like, they're just doing so good. And that's like having a regular practice, like not definitive, like when the times are going to be. So like, I can only imagine like how good we can be if we have like a good area to just train.
Yeah, I heard that the swim team did really well last weekend. I think Colonel Rosales' daughter is one of the, is that right? Yeah, and I heard she did really well last weekend too. So congratulations to all of you for that. First of all, what grade are you in?
I'm in 10th grade.
10th grade. Okay, very good. Well, thank you for coming and speaking to us. We're going to move on to the next. Yes, congratulations. Very good. All right, next we have somebody who, I can't read their handwriting. You're just going to have to stand up. Is it Menendez? What is it? Did I get that part right? No? Yes? No? No, I didn't.
No.
I tried. I'm sorry. Tell me your name.
Evening, Mayor and Commission. My name is Cruz Hernandez.
Cruz. Oh, never mind.
Cruz
Don't
Hernandez.
shoot me stuff. I can't read it. I'm
Son of
sorry.
everyone's favorite.
You need to work on that. Your mom's getting a PhD. We got to work on your handwriting over there.
Amen.
Have I embarrassed you enough already? No? Okay, fine. Go
I'm here to
ahead.
talk about, as well as for the city natatorium, and to add on to what Cheyenne said, we've come a very long way from not having a pool, because I can name about 30 times this season where we had to like move to a different location, like on the fly, and having one set location would be helpful for that, helpful for us. Apologies, and we don't really have. one core aspect of swimming is the diving, and we haven't had a proper place to dive at all. We've had to make the trek up to Wismar to even practice dives. Now that's only once a week on Wednesdays. Along with that, as you know, our girls made state this year, and that's again without any sort of defined pool. And our boys, we have one over there sitting down right now who's close to making state, and I believe with a proper pool and proper diving equipment, we could make state for the boys, either singles or as a relay. I'm trying to think about some things to talk about.
You don't have to use the whole 3 minutes.
Yeah, I know,
It's okay.
but it's better if I do.
Just throwing it out there. They're all looking at the clock. Oh, wait, I've got 3 more. Okay, go ahead.
I don't know. That's all I got from me.
Okay. So tell us what grade you're in.
Sophomore, 10th grade.
Sophomore, 10th grade. Got it. Okay, well, thanks, Cruz. I appreciate it. I should have looked up first before I did that. Thank you. Okay, next we have Aaron. I'm going to butcher that name too. Carmody? Carmody, yes. Come on up.
Hello. I'm very excited to hear the I'm sorry, I have to say I'm Erin Carmody. I'm very excited to hear the presentation. I'm a swim team parent, and I think the pool will have multiple benefits for the community if we can get an auditorium. First thing, just to explain, we loved practicing in the beautiful rec center pool through October, and then after that, we were planning, I believe, on going to the base pool, but we're using the pool in the evenings for lessons for kids, understandably on base swim lessons. So our coaches were heroic in getting time at the blind school. The blind school, the water is very warm, so it's not great for a swim team, and so then they wrangled time in the mornings on base. So they were practicing at 6 a.m. on base and then at various other pools. So obviously, it would be great to have our own pool. When we went to state, or the kids went to state, they were competing against multiple cities of a similar size that all had pools, like Clovis, Carlsbad, Artesia, Lovington, Hobbs, Farmington, all have sitting auditoriums. So hopefully Alamogordo can compete with that as well. Also, I think just to mention the benefits, the community could benefit from additional time for swim lessons for kids so that kids can learn how to swim throughout the year. And I think the elderly and disabled in particular can also benefit from a pool and all the benefits that swimming provides. That's all I have. I was obviously very nervous.
Don't be nervous. It's okay.
So,
but I understand.
yeah, thank you for your time.
Thank
And I'm
you.
looking forward to the presentation.
And thank you for taking the time to come out here tonight. Appreciate that. Okay, and then the last one we have, is it Maura? Yes. Maura Kuhn?
Yes, good afternoon or evening.
You what?
Good evening.
Good
Yes.
evening.
So I do pronounce my name Mauda Kuhn, and I'm also a parent of one of the swimmers. So I would just want to say thank you for giving us the opportunity to come and speak. I do want to say, Holloman, you mentioned Holloman and the Altus Award that Alamogordo received in Holloman, so kudos to us. I do want to say, with that being said, I think it'd be a great idea for us to have a year-round pool. The benefits of swimming is outstanding. I've had people mention, oh, swimming is not really a sport. Let's concentrate on football for our students. And I'm like, okay, year-round swimming for, as we said, younger folks, adults, middle age. So if we could have something that we can possibly have the community come together and have here in Alamogordo, for example, the Hobbs area that they have out there is outstanding, where people can use year-round, get ideas of how can we have it affordable for everyone to use year-round. I'm not sure if you all have ever gone to Hobbs, but it's outstanding. People use it. You have the elderly swimming. You have, people from the senior center can come over and even use something. We just need something. Our students are eager. However, they're driving at 5:30 in the morning down Highway 500, to Highway 70. I'm being, facetious, right? But yes, our coach did an amazing job in relaying where the kids would be swimming. So all the way around, we need to ensure that we have something for Alamogordo. We have over 50 dispensaries. What are we doing with that money? So I know that I'm going squirrel,
We're using
right?
it for law enforcement. That's what
Exactly,
we're doing.
which is awesome, because we
Yeah.
want to support our blue, right?
Yes.
But however, we just, I want to say thank you for allowing us to speak. And then, two, we need to just ensure that we have more things for our students. However, I think a pool would be very beneficial for the city of Alamogordo, and then to partner with Holloman or with the retiree community when you're looking at a third of the people being either retired or affiliated with the military members. We did have 7 students, females. I want to officially say probably 4 of them were either retired military or current active duty, plus half of the students that are on the swim team are homeschooled children.
Right.
So, we want it to be a win-win for the city of Alamogordo and for our students.
Right.
So I'm passionate about swimming, and I'm here to support the kids, and I'm proud of all these kids. So thank you for your
Yay.
time. Appreciate you.
Very good, thank you. Full disclosure, we actually did have a year-round pool up until about 5, 6, the bubble, the very dangerous bubble, yes, yes. Yeah, but let's hear what Belinda has to say. And I think we're going to get a presentation on a possible, or discuss the possibility of a new natatorium. And I'm very much looking forward to this. I'm really excited about it, so
I
thank
brought
you.
the whole team.
Okay, team, come on up.
So, a little background, our swimming pool is at the end of its life. It's also only a half a year or less pool. So we're looking at a replacement, and we want to get as much mileage out of our dollars that we spend to replace that pool, and we want to get the most programming and get the most benefit out of it. So with that being said, I brought these wonderful folks with me. We have George Dines. I never get your name right. And Rob Price, who have put a ton of work into putting up with us and all our different changes and modifications that we want to do for this pool. And they're going to do a presentation. And then I brought Regina and Heather from the Rec Center to answer questions about programming and things like that when they're finished. So I will let you guys,
Do we have a clicker up there for them?
Yes.
There it
Okay.
is. I'm
know
gonna give
more
that
about
to
that.
George. Good evening.
Good evening.
So, sounds like you got a lot of support for a new pool already, before we even got up here. Real
Your
glad
job
to
is
hear from
done.
them.
No, I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
We're real happy to hear from them. So, I'm Rob Price with ASA Architects. I'm the principal architect in our Las Cruces office. I've got George Dines with me. He's with Councilman Hunsaker. They're a national aquatic consultant. I want to give you a little background on the project and just sort of some tidbits of what we've been doing so far, and then I'm going to let George take you through the slideshow, if that's okay. The latest project that we did together, the design team, ASA Architects and Councilman Hunsaker, along with a number of other design professionals, civil engineers, structural engineers, MP&E engineers, et cetera, is the new 50-meter competition pool in Las Cruces. Anybody been to see it? Nobody. So it's a brand-new aquatic center. I think it opened in May of last year. Again, 50 meters. I think it's 10 lanes. A very nice facility that we did together. So for this project, we were selected through an RFP that the city issued. I don't know how many responses you got to that RFP, but we were selected as the architect and the design team to design a new pool. As we began meeting with Belinda and Heather and Regina, we began to understand that funding wasn't available yet. It seemed like the priorities were kind of all over the place, so I suggested we do a needs assessment to kind of hone the priorities, hone in on what's important to the public, what level of funding we might be able to achieve for a new facility, what's going on with the old facility, what's wrong with it, why is it not being used more, what could we do, if anything, to it. So to date, we've done an assessment. George has done an assessment of the existing pool. We've prioritized the needs of what a new pool might look like. We've prepared some concept site plans, floor plans, and some renderings. We've had some assessments and conversation and discussion and back and forth on what type of exterior the building should have, and we've done some preliminary cost estimates. So George is going to take you through these slides that shows each of those things in a little more detail, and then we'll be happy to answer some questions after that. George?
Hi, good evening. As Rob mentioned, my name is George Dinas with Councilman Hunsaker. We specialize in aquatic facility planning and design, and have had a good relationship working with Rob, as he mentioned, in Las Cruces. And so would like to spend a couple of minutes here just walking through some of the different things that we looked at throughout this study and where we arrived. And so a lot of it had to do with, the seasonality of the existing outdoor pool, as well as its age. It's coming upon 30 years of life. The layout of the pool does not have, a true zero depth entry. While it does have the children's play feature, it does not have a true zero depth entry. Ingress and egress to the pool can be a little bit difficult. And then one of the big things was it just does not allow for year-round fitness, wellness, competitions, aquatic programs here within the city. And so we looked at the pool, as I mentioned, built in 1995, both the lap and then the children's pool was added after that. We have some images of the existing condition of the swimming pool, and a lot of these are fairly common for 30-year-old outdoor pools. We usually assign a lifespan of roughly 30 to 40 years for an outdoor pool, and that depends on a lot of different factors. But we also usually see a major renovation take place around that 20-year mark, and so this pool still has the existing filtration. It's starting to get some structural cracking in the shallow end. You can see the rust and corrosion as the plaster surface and the concrete for the pool are wearing and tearing over the past 30 years of life. And so we looked at the existing condition of the pool, and then also met with Belinda and her team and really talked about what are the needs here within the city and how could those be addressed with a new facility. And so we usually categorize the different aquatic users into 4 different groups, whether it's the recreation, competition, instruction, or wellness, fitness, therapy. And anytime somebody visits an aquatic facility, they're probably going to visit for one of those 4 main purposes. And then the beauty of aquatics is that it can focus on a water babies, water tots class from 6 months all the way to elderly folks that are in water fitness classes or water walking. So an aquatic facility truly can span the life of the person. And so we looked at several different options starting out with. Some had 1 pool, some had 2 pools, as Rob mentioned, trying to be efficient with the budget and the layout and have a pool that can really do a lot of different things. The option that we arrived at is on the screen there. So we have an 8-lane, 25-yard lap pool that also has a little bump out area that is a 0 depth entry. So it starts at 0 feet, 0 inches, and then slopes down to about 3.5 feet. And then it gets a little bit deeper as you go over to the competition pool, lap pool side. We have some support spaces accounted for as well, an entry, lobby, office space for staff, locker rooms, pool storage, pool mechanical, as well as a multi-purpose room. We have some different pictures of how that pool can function in terms of programs, activities, as well as capacity. And so if you're looking for a general, morning lap swim, that's usually going to be about 8 to 16 people within an 8-lane lap pool. Swim practice, that could be anywhere from 24 upwards of 40. Maybe even a little bit higher if it's the younger kids. For the high schoolers, it's usually probably 3 to 4 swimmers per lane. Whereas once you get down to 6 to 8-year-olds on a summer swim team or a year-round club swim team, you can probably fit 5 to 6 per lane. If you look at some other ways that the pool could be programmed and carved out, you could have 4 lanes available for community lap swim. And then you could have the other half of the pool designed for swimming lessons. In the shallow end, right here, you could probably fit anywhere from 25 to 40 kids for swimming lessons from ages 3 upwards to ages 12, and even adult swim lessons during that time. One of the other things that you could do, morning is a good time for aquatic programs, and so you can offer swimming lessons, but you could also have shallow and deep water aerobics at that same time, with 10 to 15 people per class. And then you can also divide it up on the weekends. You can still have community lap swim on the weekends, but you could also have the other over half of the pool for recreational swim, and then you have that zero depth entry that has some spray and play features for the younger kids, and utilize that for recreational swim, for birthday parties. And so we feel that the layout that we came up with for the pool really has a good multi-purpose, multi-function aspect to it. It has a lot of capacity, both on the lap swim side, the fitness side, as well as swim lessons and recreational swim. And the one thing to think about is going to be water temperature and water depth. And so we would see this water depth being, again, on the zero beach entry down to 3.5 to 4 feet there where the lap lanes start. And then the depth of the lap pool would be 4 feet. And then the minimum we would want to have competitive starting blocks would be 7 to 8 feet of depth. And so that would also allow you to do deep water aerobics, certified lifeguards to get a brick off the bottom of the pool. And then on the water temperature side, we usually have a little bit of a disagreement between the folks in swim lessons and then the competitive swimmers and the folks in water walking and water fitness classes and the hardcore fitness lap swimmers. And so usually a true competition pool is going to be 80 to 82 degrees, where a multi-purpose program pool is probably going to be 85 to 86 degrees. And so we would see keeping this pool about 83 to 84. And so it's not ideal for either group, but it's very functional for all ages. I've worked at numerous pools where we kept the water temperature 83 to 84, and we were able to run all of the programs that I mentioned that this pool could accommodate. We also have just some pictures of similar types of pools that we have designed. There you see one that has lap lanes as well as the zero depth entry. You have the picture on the right there. You see a lifeguard training class. You have pictures that show when the lane lines are out, this pool can be a recreational pool. You can put water basketball on the side. You can put a climbing wall on the side. So there's a lot of different variations that you could utilize there. It would also be able to accommodate a dual or a tri swim meet. It's not going to be able to accommodate a 500 swimmer invitational meet, but it definitely could host dual and tri meets. And then you can even do seasonal programs. There's an aquatic Easter egg hunt that we used to run at the facility that I worked at. And again, you can have a lot of different special events within the pool of this shape and size. And then we also mentioned that we'll have various support spaces just to help with the operation of the pool, the back of house mechanical, lobby entry, locker rooms, family changing rooms, and then as well as a birthday party room that can be right off the pool deck that can be used for meetings. It can be used for lifeguard training, birthday parties, It can be used by the water fitness folks, like to have potlucks on a monthly basis, and so they could do that after their water fitness class. So it also becomes a place for community to be developed by the aquatic center users. So with that, I'll turn it back over to Rob for a minute, and he can talk about the site plan and the placement of the aquatic facility.
So what's on the screen now is a concept site plan. Its purpose is to merely illustrate where we might put the building, how we might put the building, any obstacles that are in play. Might be a little difficult. Do you guys have that on your individual screens? So you're probably seeing it a little better. So towards the bottom of the screen, the blue line down there at the bottom, that's the existing aquatic center gymnasium. And up to that dotted line, roughly halfway through the middle of the parking lot, that's the existing parking. What's on the upper end of that dotted line is what we're proposing as new parking, which would have accessible parking adjacent to building. There's also some area there for some food trucks, especially during the summer when kids are out of school or if you have some family event going on. And the orange building, of course, is the new aquatic center. The brown area to the bottom of it and to the right of it, that would be new outdoor deck. One of the things we heard loud and clear is when it's warm out, the outdoor pool's great. It's just not that great when it's cold out. So we want to feel like we've got indoor, outdoor situations going on here. So the perimeter of the building will have a lot of raisable and movable doors, so we can bring the outside in and the inside out when weather appropriate. So we've got plenty of a deck. That's what that space around the building is.
And then we looked at a variety of different building types. There are several, you can go with traditional CMU block construction, but there's also several different types of pre-engineered structures that you can look at. So the one on the screen here is actually called a sprung structure, and so it's an aluminum frame with a tension fabric covering. This is a facility that we did in Castle Rock, Colorado, and it's an indoor lap and leisure pool. And so that is what we have accounted for within the cost estimate. On a day like today, the question comes up, is it wind rated? And the answer is yes. It's not going to fall victim to the winds, like the pool bubble enclosure would have. And so they usually they offer a 25-year warranty on the structure. There's several new facilities that have opened recently that have a sprung structure. Probably the most recent one, our firm didn't design it, but it was in Boise, Idaho. It's an indoor Olympic-sized pool and teaching pool. But it does offer a very cost-effective way to get an indoor swimming pool environment that doesn't have the higher cost of a traditional building, but it also brings better air quality, a better structure, and a better environment and less maintenance than having a pool bubble like you all used to have. And so here's a couple of images there on the left of what the inside of that looks like. As Rob mentioned, having that outdoor deck with the garage doors that can go up and down, so you can get some seasonality with the structure. And then on the right there, you see some of the renderings that Rob and his team did that show just some aerial and perspective views of what that facility could look like. There's a lot of different color patterns that you can utilize with the sprung structure, to help it match the look and the feel of the city. And so with that, this is a little bit difficult to see, but the cost estimate that we prepared looks at the support spaces. It also looks at the pool and the pool swimming systems. It looks at the sprung structure. It looks at site development cost. We have also included a furniture, fixtures, and equipment budget, for things like backboards, lifeguard training equipment, lifeguard stands, AEDs, office furniture, all of the things that come with that. And so the construction cost is just under $10 million. And then we have also included soft costs in there, which includes design fees for architects and engineers. We have contingency, and then we also have an escalation allowance, and so that got the total project cost to in between 12 and $12.5 million. We have some notes there on the left side of the screen that just detail the current uncertainty with the construction market, some of the areas that we have seen cost increases over the past several years related to concrete, steel, the unavailability of subcontractors, a lot of construction going on due to ARPA funds, and that's limiting the number of folks that can bid. And when you have less firms and construction general contractors bidding on a project, then you're probably going to get less competition, and then you get higher pricing. And so what we look at is including an allowance for 5% of escalation, but if the project does not start fairly soon, then we would want just to reevaluate that escalatory factor for the project. And so with that, that's a quick overview of what we have been working on since last January, communicating with Belinda and her team. And I'll leave the graphics of the inside and outside of the Aquatic Center up to look at, but then ourselves and Belinda and her team would welcome any questions or comments that you may have.
Anybody have any questions?
Got a quick one. On that sprung structure that you guys are proposing, what is the outside skin of that? Is it a fabric or?
It is a tension fabric. It's called it's a Tedlar material, and so I believe it's proprietary to their system, but it is a tension.
So it's basically some sort of a steel structure with a fabric stretched over it.
Correct. Yes.
Similar to the bubble we had.
Yeah, but it's a lot higher quality than the bubble, and then there's no take up and tear down, that hurts the integrity of the structure.
I read in there that it says we'll get a 25-year warranty essentially on the fabric, but with our UV and climate, how long does it actually last?
That I would have to get some more information from them. The ones that we have done so far I think Castle Rock was done like early 2010s, and it's still in
good shape.
In really good shape.
So it's almost 15, 14 years old?
Correct, yep. But that's definitely something to consider with that type of structure.
Have you guys done any of those sprung structures here in New Mexico? Or, I don't know, I mean, does anybody
our
know
firm
of
is
any
not,
that are?
no.
Belinda, I don't know if you guys know of any that are here. And then also, following up to that, what's the cost difference to do something that's more of a traditional building?
So that would be you'd take that 12.25 and take it up to about 15 million, give or take.
If you did like a conventional metal building
Brick
type
and
structure or brick and mortar type?
CMU, some kind of veneer up to 8 or 10 feet, and then stucco or ephes or something, or metal panel above it, steel joist, TPO roof. And we did analyze that. We did some cost estimates on it, and given consideration of varying factors, it was roughly a $2.5 million differential. Not to mention the escalation costs and the contingencies that get tacked over it. That's why it's going to take it to about $15 million.
I have a question. I noticed that on one of the questions it talked about, can it be air conditioned or heated? So does this stay at a certain temperature, so you don't need air conditioning and heating?
So this would have a dehumidification system. So you can see in some of the pictures, you can see the ductwork around the sides. Now, you also have the ability with the garage doors on a seasonal day to open the garage doors and cut off the dehumidification system, but we always recommend the dehumidification system just to help mitigate any type of corrosion that you get, with chlorine in the pool environment. But we would see that the air temperature in an indoor natatorium is usually kept about 2 degrees warmer than the pool. And so that's usually the difference between, you want about 55% relative humidity and then a 2-degree difference between the pool temperature and the water temperature.
So would you need air conditioning or heating, like in the wintertime?
So the dehumidification would take care of that and regulate that temperature.
Okay.
Yep.
And what would be the average temperature in that building?
So within the natatorium, it would be right around that 85-degree mark, and so you want it comfortable enough for people who are in, street clothes that are watching their kids in swimming lessons, that they're not sweating, but you also have to realize that the majority of the people in there are getting out of the pool. You have a lot of soaking wet people walking around, so you can't get it too cold for them.
The rest of the building would have a central, probably something like a typical rooftop.
In the office areas?
The office, the
Correct.
party area, that kind of.
Reception, the training room, et cetera.
Okay, am I,
If we were to build this structure, what are we planning on doing with our existing structure? Because it looks like we're building an entire new rec center. What are our plans with the existing structure?
So.
We have discussed that.
So the rec center that we have will remain. The only thing that will be changed at the current rec center is that the pool will go away because it's at the end of its life. So this rec center, or this natatorium is a natatorium. It won't have a gym or those components.
What will you guys do? Fill the pool in, and what's going to be planned for that space?
So it's sort of ABC 1, 2, 3 is, once this pool is built, which is on the back side of the existing pool would stay open until it's built. Once it's built, the existing pool would be filled in.
Sir, can you please speak into the mic so we
Sorry.
can hear you for the record?
Yeah, sort of the 1, 2, 3 ABC of it is this pool, once it's built, which is on the other end of the property, it and its adjoining parking lot, the existing pool would be filled in. If you've been over there, there's not a lot of space that's put towards just the pool. I mean, there's a small lifeguard area, there's a small office. I think the locker rooms are used by all the spaces over there. So that would become a full recreational center that's not the pool. The gym and whatever it's used for and the other activities in the building will become its own space, and then you'd have the pool as a second space, and between them a conjoined parking lot for any and everybody going to either building.
so the existing pool would become a parking lot?
No.
No?
The existing pool would become, we discussed a number of options for future other types of recreational space.
How long would you anticipate that, I mean, it would cost to fill that thing in, be included in this project's cost? Or are we looking at another $500,000, $1 million to fill that in?
You know offhand?
On top of?
Yeah, we've been seeing demolition cost for pools range probably from that $200,000 to $500,000 number.
So it's not included in this estimate
Not
though,
at
right?
the moment.
Okay.
It could be. I mean, at this point, these numbers are fluid to an extent.
Okay, let me ask this. There's no diving? No diving board, no diving?
We considered diving, we've sort of gone back and forth with diving. I'll need to let these guys explain the rationale behind the diving.
You're right.
Yeah.
We have considered it though, and costed it, and et cetera.
We consider the diving area, but that's a low-use area. So we put more towards the shallow end, because that's where we get most of our recreational users. The diving component that they need for competitive swimming is in the deep end where they come off the starting blocks, which is what
Right.
Cruz alluded to. So we're trying to keep the cost low for the pool area, the footprint small, and yet carry over a lot of programming. So that was one area that we gave, or that we don't have now, so it's not something that we've had, other than the small diving board we had years ago that was grandfathered in.
Okay.
So it's not a loss, it's just not a gain.
It's not a gain.
And it's
Okay.
not a necessary component to have, to hit all four of those areas.
But this
But
would
there's
be,
a-
I'm sorry.
There's also a huge liability with diving
Yes.
boards.
Okay.
So
Okay.
trying to, like,
No, I get it.
most
That's
bang for
fine.
our buck without,
Does our school do height dive now? Diving? No?
No, like I said, this is not something we've had for a long time, and so it's not a loss. It's just not a gain that we are gonna see on this particular pool.
I just remember the diving at Washington Park.
Yes,
back in
and the
day.
small springboards, yes. We used to have one at the existing pool, but
Oh, we had high dives back in the day.
Yeah.
At Washington and at the old Oregon pool.
Yep, and-
We had like, I don't know, they were 10 or 12 feet up in
And the
the air.
base has that, they have the high dive, yeah.
The aquatic center we did in Las Cruces, I mean, like I said, it's a 50-meter competition pool, and we had this same conversation back and forth. The university was involved, the city was involved, the swim teams were involved, cost was considered. We don't have it.
Okay.
We don't
So
have it.
let me ask you this. This is going to be, we're going to have the ability to have competitions
Yes.
with this pool?
Yes.
'Cause that's like super important to me, I think.
So small meets, so dual or tri meets. There's other facilities in the state that hold them that don't have the diving component.
Uh-huh.
So we.
No, and yeah,
Yep.
that's, move on
Yeah.
from the diving. Aside
Yep.
from that,
But yes, yep,
Yeah.
this will support
Okay.
that. It's got enough deck space that we can have 2 to 3 teams
Okay.
on site. We can move in portable bleachers so
Okay.
we can, support some spectators. We've got the multipurpose room, which will act as the officials and the coaches' meeting room. We've got the locker rooms that support changeouts.
Okay.
And we have the lifeguarding office for, whatever extra needs we might have.
perfect.
And how many meters would this pool be?
This one's in yards, so it meets the short course requirements for high school and college
Which is what?
competition, which is 25 yards, which is what our current lap swim area is 25 yards across the pool.
Okay.
When you guys took this out, what was the kind of target budget? My personal opinion is we're looking at a structure that's gonna have a limited useful life, that's running $12.5 million. For another $3 million, you get a potential structure that can be maintained and last 40, 50 years. So is there some type of budget constraint that, said, hey, we're capping it at 12.5, 13 million bucks, we're not going above that, or any reason, or kind of, how did you guys come to settle on the,
We can all- we can all
on the
talk
type
about
of
that.
structure that it is? To me personally, if you're gonna spend the money, $3 million and a 15, it's a lot of money, but at the end of the day, we're gonna have to go out and do whatever we need to do to be able to get the funds to pay for this thing, so.
So at the starting point here of bringing these guys before you to have this conversation, we wanted to be as reasonable as we could be. That's an excellent question and an excellent point. For an institutional building, which is what level of building this would be, you would get 40 to 50 years out of the building for another $3 million. If $15 million is something that this could be funded at, I think it'd be well worth having a brick and mortar building. With that said, we wanted you to know there are other options. There are other less expensive options so you can get the things you need in your pool to be indoor, to have the programmatic requirements that you'd like to have in your pool without spending that additional $3 million. Is it something down the road you're going to end up, over the course of a institutional life building at 40 to 50 years, the sprung structure, you're going to buy it twice. So it's, pay me now, pay me later kind of thing.
And if you did the brick and mortar and all that, you would still have the doors, so basically you'd have the
Absolutely.
same thing that would be the way it's built is
Yes,
different.
ma'am.
Okay.
Everything,
agree
all
with
the
you.
program
Yeah.
requirements would stay the same. The pool deck.
Yeah.
The features that we've talked about accessing the deck, they would all stay the same.
So on kind of what you guys have rendered up so far, I assume the lobby space, the locker rooms, those are all stick framed portions, and just the actual cover over the pool is the sprung structure part.
Yes.
So at some point in the future, could that be replaced itself, and what type of cost are you looking at to go and reskin that thing, basically?
So a handful of things there. First, the spaces, whether we do the natatorium area, the
Right.
pool area, out of brick and mortar or a sprung structure, the other spaces, pool equipment rooms, storage rooms, locker rooms, et cetera, all that would probably be some load-bearing stud walls with bar joists and TPO roof and parapets and those kinds of things. The sprung structure, yes, at some point it could be taken down and replaced. That's a little more challenging than building a building around it without the pool there interfering with. Some of you guys on this commission know construction. You trying to get a lift out there where that pool is to put some lights on hung from some bar joists up in the air. That's a little surgical.
Yeah, that's my other question, cost-wise, and I don't know if they do this or not because of the humidity in the building, but have y'all looked at like a pre-engineered metal building? If you did 150 by 150, and you could incorporate the whole deal in a pre-engineered metal building, I'm just not sure how the structure would hold up with the humidity.
That's the challenge. So we have had those conversations. These guys, Councilman Hunsaker, like I said, they're a national aquatic consultant. This type of structure is the pool version of the pre-engineered metal building that you use in other instances for that type of solution.
Yeah, just cost-wise, it would be more cost-effective if you could do it like that, but, when you get into brick and mortar. And
The red iron creates a bit of a challenge. You have to
It
do
does.
things to it, the purlins.
Maybe if they galvanized it or something, but I still don't know how long it would last. It probably wouldn't last the full 50 years that we're
No.
anticipating, so.
If affordable, a brick and mortar building's always the best option. You'll get the most lifespan out of it. You'll not have to replace it before those 50 years. You'll have to maintain it. You're going to have to replace the roof at 25 years, maybe 30, depending if luck goes your way. You have to do maintenance to the exterior, but the building itself will last longer. It's a capital investment, though, on the front end. And we wanted to be sure you knew that there were options. It's not just a $15 million project and that's it. It could be as low as a $12.2 million project.
Anybody else have any questions?
Not to throw another wrench into it, but I think we own pretty much that whole area out there. If we were to move the pool to the other side of the existing rec center and just do the pool portion of it, how much cost savings would we see there where we could utilize the existing facilities we have, demo the existing pool, and then put a new pool on the south side of the existing building?
And not do the parking lot?
And not do expand the parking lot a little bit or whatever, but.
But not quite as much?
Yeah, just, that's a lot of money, and I don't know if we even have the bonding capacity at this time to bond something like that. I
So-
think that's coming next, so.
So first of all, we considered that approach. I think I did a few sketches of that approach. We wanted to see what all could it be, The other challenge is making sure there is enough parking to meet the city's requirements, which is what's shown on that site plan. Could all of that be reduced some? Yeah, quite frankly, I've seen who's parking to go to the pool now, and you're not filling that much parking up that we're showing on that site plan. So it could be reduced. Could you move the pool closer and reduce some of that? Yeah. If you guys can pull that cost estimate back up, we've got the site work and
But what if
parking
we
costs.
had competitions?
You might fill that parking lot up. I think that's still a bit of a stretch.
Well, what's the maximum amount of teams that would be at a competition?
Didn't we say three?
Probably 2 to 3.
2 to
2 to
3.
3?
Yeah.
They're saying 3 back here.
Dual or try.
Click away. I don't know if I can read it from down here. We're going to try.
The cost estimate?
Yeah. So you see there, site construction, parking, landscaping, utilities. Can anybody read that number?
Can't even see it myself.
Which one were you looking for?
Site construction.
Site construction is 579,973.
There you go, 579. So that's where we're at right now for the building pad. Utility, there's utilities available at the site, not like we're doing anything extensive with utilities. We're guessing a little bit, but utilities are available. All that's building pad, a little bit of landscaping, and then the parking lot. So you reduce
So
the
you
parking
guys-
lot, and that number comes down.
So also, there is an existing pool under that parking lot or a little further north. I'm not
We'll need
exactly.
somebody to pinpoint that for us.
I'm not exactly sure where it's at because it was the old pool, but there is
The
a pool.
old outdoor pool.
It was the old one before this one, so.
We'll need somebody to come mark that with an X.
Yes, it's either under that parking lot or just to the outside of that parking lot. I don't
And if
remember.
I were putting on top of his parking, it's kind of not that big a deal. We just
That
want
could
to
have
be sure
been
we're
a
not building
big
on top of it.
surprise, huh?
When they did that one, they just kind of bulldozed the top of the pool in, filled it in, and covered it up. So I don't think they removed the existing pool when they did
So
this
your
one.
question is,
Yeah.
That's a way to do it.
we just built a center?
Y'all have any other
'Cause it would-
questions?
It would be,
Good
Does any-
presentation, thank you.
it would be minus.
Anybody
this
else have any
Very good
questions?
presentation.
minus all of this.
Well, that's what I'm asking.
I need
So,
to
so
wait.
let me, I just, sorry, I have one more question. When
Okay.
it says the indoor aquatic center, the 8.3, that would be,
Everything.
oh, I see, never mind.
You good?
You answered my question.
So if we do.
Well, we're real happy to be here. We're excited to move forward whenever y'all are ready, and sounds like you got support from the community for the pool, too.
A little bit.
We should just let them keep talking. Y'all don't need to really hear from us. They said it all.
I only get a call every week about a new pool, so I don't know about the rest of it.
All you need is $12.2 million or $15 million. and we
All right,
can
you
move
know
on.
what? Let's just write that check today. Let's get it done.
All right.
Thank you very much. I'm going to assume nobody else had any questions, right?
The ballot anyway.
Okay.
I think it does.
All right.
You know what, they might.
We are going to move on now to item 8, which just moves right into this, presentation and discussion on the city's financing capacity. And we have Evelyn Huff, our finance director, John Archuleta from Bosque Advisors, and Chris Muirhead from Modrell Sperling. Chris, where are you at? There you are.
Mayor,
How
Mayor
are ya?
Pro Tem, Commissioners, now's the fun part, right? We know what we want, and now we got to figure out if we can afford it. So I get to introduce two of my favorite people, starting with John Archuleta, who is here with Bosque Advisors, and then Chris Muirhead, who's here with Modrell Sperling. They're going to talk to you about our bonding capacity and our different options.
Thank you very much. Mayor, Commissioners, John Archuleta with Bosque from Albuquerque. We put together a real brief overview of your present situation. And I think probably the most important part you want to hear is what's your bonding capacity. So you presently have a bonding capacity of a little over $15,257,000. So numbers that have been thrown around were $12.5 million as far as the construction portion of this. So we could do anywhere between a 12.5 and a 15 million. And I think probably the most important thing that you folks are going to be concerned about is what's the cost going to be as far as being able to have additional debt, which in this case will either be 12.5 million or a $15 million financing. With the $12.5 million financing, as far as a general obligation bond issue, what we would do would wrap it around your existing debt that you presently have outstanding right now. So this would allow you to go ahead and issue the $12.5 million, pay back on a 20-year basis, and actually just go ahead and increase your taxes by about the same amount that you're presently paying now, which is $1.79 per $1,000 of assessed valuation. So what we would be looking at is we would increase the taxes by $1.79 for the next 10 years, and then after the next 10 years, we drop it down. If we were to do a $12.5 million financing, drop it down to what you're presently paying right now, which is $1.79. Keep in mind that we are looking at not making any assumptions as far as the growth in your assessed valuation. If your assessed valuation grows, your mill levy is going to be coming down. And you have had a constant growth in your assessed valuation concerning the assessed valuation, which is what is being used in order to be able to pay off the debt. So that's the route going to a general obligation bond issue. The other option would be consider a gross receipts tax bond issue. But as far as the gross receipts tax bond issue, this is one avenue that we have not really done a really good analysis in order to be able to come up with numbers on it. As far as your interest costs right now, we're probably looking somewhere around a little less than 5%. And this would either be going through the New Mexico Finance Authority or actually going through the process of doing a public sale. So we have a number of options depending on what would be your best possible deal as far as your overall cost and the most efficient way of doing the financing. So that's it in a nutshell. It's a real brief summary as far as your overview. Bottom line is, if you're going to do a $12.5 million financing or a $15 million financing, you could do it. The only difference between the 12.5 and the 15 is after 10 years, if you go to the $15 million route, your mill levy would not really drop down that much because we'd have to be able to pay off the additional $3 million. So your rate would probably remain the same for the 20 years of the financing. Questions, comments?
How does that work? You said there's a gross receipts one. I mean, what do? We'd have to put a gross receipt on the ballot and then get it passed, and then that's what we would pledge to pay the bond back?
Chris, do we have any idea? No.
Yeah, so Chris Muir, I'd be public finance lawyer for the city. So on the big difference between what John is talking about with the general obligation bond and a gross receipts tax bond is a general obligation bond does require voter approval. So you would have that step, you'd have to go put it on the ballot, probably in November if that's the course you wanted to go, and everybody get a chance to vote on it, yea or nay if they want it. The gross receipts tax bond does not require a voter approval for that. So you could look at your existing gross receipts tax options. The most prominent one that municipalities use is your state shared gross receipts tax revenues, which is your 1.225, that's based on the state gross receipts tax that's imposed on goods and services within the city. You also have about 2% local option gross receipts taxes. Those are imposed over the years for particular purposes. Recently, the legislature changed that those can kind of be used for general purposes. However, they still are governed by the initial ordinance that put them in place at the municipal level. So you'd have to look at individual gross receipts tax ordinances to see what they're for. And generally, you've already dedicated them for specific purposes. They were either for infrastructure, public safety, things of that nature. That's the norm that you see that when a governing body adopts those or puts those in place, they like to put some restrictions and have a real clear dedication of how it works. To change those, most of them would just be an act of the commission if you wanted to change them. However, if they were approved, and some were, through an election, it would require an election to change those purposes. But to issue the debt, just on the bonds itself, the GO debt would require a vote. So you would have that, the whole community get an opportunity to speak out on it. The gross receipts tax, just let's use state shared, that is your largest. You would not need a vote. You could do it as a commission. It would require 3/4 majority of you to approve that. It is subject to a petition for a referendum if you had, could be an individual person, but if they went and got enough signatures, they could make it go to a vote. That is extremely rare. It does happen, but it is very rare. So generally, the gross receipts tax, you would not need a vote. And just one final thing, and this is really John's area too. The GO bond, you're raising your tax rate to make that happen on your ad valorem taxes, on your property taxes. On the gross receipts tax, that 1.225 does not fluctuate. That is the state shared gross receipts tax rate. It's set by the state. That's what it is. So you have to operate like a family budget. What are you using that money for already? You have some debt outstanding already with that gross receipts tax. 3 or 4 current New Mexico Finance Authority loans that you've pledged that. So what is used there? And then a lot of the times for municipalities, that is your primary source for operations that you're using to fund operations.
The reason I'm asking, I think we still have what they used to call the hold harmless. So we still have an additional 1/8% that we can pass. I think we have left. We've already passed 1/4% for other things that can be done. But in the past, I believe any GRT increase within the city limits has to go to a vote. There's an ordinance or something on our books that the people brought forward and passed.
Okay.
That's why I was asking that, but I didn't know if that 1/8 that we have left could be pledged to the debt. Because we don't have to have a vote on that particular one. We can just pass that by ordinance.
Yes, so you could dedicate it for
We could
this
dedicate
purpose.
it for this. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because this will basically max us out, right? If we bond this and we are like maxed out.
Right, that would max out. Yeah, on the GO, that would
On the
max you
GO
out. At
bond
the
side.
15 million, that's your maximum.
Yeah, so we run our credit cards all the way to the max and we kind of can't do anything for about, what, 10 years, 12 years? Is that correct? Okay.
I think, that GRT, I'm not sure that's exactly correct. I think I remember.
We went ahead and passed it? The second 8th was
No,
for-
we did, but I think.
We did that, but the other,
They're ready. No, because I remember Stephanie saying something about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Or does it have to be dedicated to something
So
specific?
remember, they took away the hold harmless, so we no longer
Yes.
call it hold harmless, and we don't pass by the 1/8. We do have a total of .1875 that can still be passed. But of that, .1125, the commission can pass without going to referendum. .075 has to go to referendum.
Yes.
In addition, we can, as they said, we have other taxes that can be reallocated. It was like House Bill 427 or something like that, that allowed you to reauthorize that money.
Rededicate them to something else.
Okay.
So,
Could you guys get us some, this is just a presentation tonight anyway, right?
correct.
Could you guys get us some information on that so we
ye-
can look at that?
So,
further?
yeah, that was the discussion with Rick. Let's get you guys some information, see what you, let's get you the presentations and see what information you want us to bring forward.
How much the debt service would be on this, and then how much those would generate yearly, and where we're at on all that?
Yeah, so the debt service would depend, we would need to know, do you want to do 12, do you want to do 15?
Let's
Before we
figure-
could totally give you the debt service
Like-
100%?
Like worst-case scenario, maybe on the full 15?
Well, for me, worst case scenario is this whole thing. I'm joking. No, but I mean, I know
You know
what
what
you're
I
saying.
mean?
If you're
Yeah.
saying you want to do, 15 and a half, then, that is obviously,
Run the numbers on the
gonna
12 and a
depend.
half and the 15, and that'll kind of give us a ballpark of where we're at and what we got, and
because really with what we have left to pass, very conservatively, it would probably bring in 1.5. But remember,
a year.
we
1.5
pass
a year.
it, it's not going to be able to go into effect to a certain point in time, and we don't start, so like the gross receipts tax that we passed for
We won't
the
collect
most
till
recent
next
one
month.
for the law
Yeah, it's like
enforcement.
6 months or something.
Yeah, so that actually, we have received, we will not receive the first payment for that until March.
Right.
So you think about kind of all the way back when that meeting was, we don't have the money yet. So, we have to think about that as part of our timing as well, just, when we're going out and thinking
So
about it.
if we passed something, it wouldn't go into effect till July 1, so we wouldn't see it till September of.
If you
of this
want
year.
it in July 1, we have to have it by April 1st. We have to have it up to the the state.
up
They
to
will
the
give
state.
us some wiggle room if they know that it's already past first reading and it's going to second reading,
Okay.
but it has to happen pretty quickly if that's what you want.
If that's where the direction we're heading, okay.
And that's where I think we can also provide you with the information of what you're talking about, because some of our dedicated by ordinance taxes that go into like Fund 49, Fund 61, some of those, like we can give you the information on that as well. So, because that's an option as well, is rededicating something that's not currently paying debt service, but could be. And then there's 89, and then there is some discussion about something that could possibly be done with the LEDA tax, which I don't know if I want to let Stephanie's cat out of the bag, but I did, so.
That sunsets this year, doesn't it?
2025, December of 2025. So that went to referendum. So if you want to let that sunset and take it back out to referendum, or you can actually go in November to say we're rededicating this tax early, and on the ballot, you would have to put that on there and what would happen to the fund balance. Or if you want to do half of it, there was, of course, at the time, there's one. What is it?
There's about
Six-
$6.5 million in fund
Yeah, there's about 7 million that'll
What's
be in
that
fund
generate a
balance.
year now, that 1/8%?
About 1.5.
Is that what it comes up with? Because it used to, it was about 750,000. That was 10 or 12 years ago.
So $1.2 million.
A year.
A year.
Okay.
And what is that? The LEDA tax?
The LEDA tax.
Yeah, okay.
That we
Okay,
haven't
gotcha.
had a ton of takers, so that's why we have 6.5.
So there is a possibility we could rededicate that.
If we put
Yes,
it on the ballot in November?
So when we talked to the state, they said that the best practice, even though it sunsets, if we waited for it to sunset after the fact, the commission can do it. But the best practice would be to take it to referendum, to have since the voters decided on it, to let the voters decide to rededicate it and rededicate the fund balance.
I think we have to on those.
Not,
Don't we?
according to the state, the auditors, the lawyers, we do not have to if it sunsets.
If it sunsets,
Mhm.
or, okay,
But if you want to rededicate it tomorrow, it does.
Early, yeah.
okay.
That's a tough one.
And kind of one of the things that, so Stephanie and I have talked about with that is the plus of that is the fund balance. Because if you go back out to referendum, you have them revote on it, you're talking about possibly opening up $5 to $6 million that, based on the presentation, would go quite a ways to brick and mortar, to do
That's
something
almost
a little
half,
bigger,
yeah.
because then you're talking about basically being able to put 5 million down and finance 10 or finance 11. So that is a little bit of a plus. I mean, obviously, there's minuses in terms of the economic development side and everything like that, but
there still is state LEDA and that kind of thing.
right. And so that's kind of some of the options that, we wanted to let you guys know where we were in terms of our general obligation bonding. The last time we issued a general obligation bond was 2017. So we're about 7 years away from the last time we did it. But as Commissioner Reardon pointed out, maxes us out. That's it. We're good for
Can we
quite a
do
while.
like a mix, like maybe part GRT and part GO bond?
Guys, answer that.
I don't know if, you know what I mean? I don't know if that's legal. We've never done it before that way.
Sure, the only bad thing about it is if you were to go and, let's say, split out the GO portion and it wasn't approved by the voters, then you're back in
Then you're
square
kinda
one.
back at square one, okay. Yeah, you know what I mean? Just so that we're, in the event we have an emergency and need to bond something or do something,
Sure.
that we're not maxed out, so.
Okay.
This is why we needed to discuss this with you all tonight, because as we've talked about, we've had a number of potential projects, including the natatorium, that have come our direction in the last couple of months. And so, without a doubt, you're going to get to pick and choose projects, and as you just said, if you're not careful, you can bond yourselves out of business for a good while on other things that may come about that are equally as essential, even though we know and we have brought to you what we believe is a very strong project tonight. So
Basically, what y'all proposed is kind of like the Champaign portion of it, correct? I mean, we could always look at value engineering or scaling it back to something a little bit more budget-friendly, but where we still get the pool, correct?
yeah, if you want to try to get the size of the pool to meet the needs of everybody from the recreational to the school, we could probably do some things, but I don't know that there's going to be a whole lot left there to scale back.
So the pool that is proposed to you is a lot smaller than the current pool. So this pool, you can scale it back, but you're going to start losing some functionality. There's going to be some loss maybe of the zero entry part. There might be some loss of lanes and there might be some loss of not being able to do the starting blocks for the that they spoke about. You're going to have some loss. This is not the Champagne. There's a Champagne version out there that we can't afford. This is the scaled back that meets the functionality within our capacity.
With our budget,
Yeah.
okay. And then my last question, and I'll shut up, is there any talks with the school board about maybe helping us pay for that?
Stephanie's probably got some
Me again. So we've been
feedback
working
there.
on this project for probably 2 years. There was some talk initially with the previous school personnel. They support it wholeheartedly, but there's no interest in help funding it. There was also some discussion with maybe the hospital, getting a portion of it, maybe a physical therapy pool. Again, they
What
yay
about,
you, but they're not going to do it.
Sacramento Mountain Foundation?
They typically, at this point, are not wanting to do any major project in entirety, but they might, if we talk to them, there could be some possibility that we could ask them to consider a part of this, because they did come to us and wanted to put a dome up.
Okay.
And they would be willing to spend that much money on a dome, so I would think reasonably they might be willing to spend some money.
So it sounds like we've got
Yes.
quite a few options where we could maybe
Absolutely.
pull some money together where we don't have to max ourselves out on our financing.
Yeah. and
We
I
just
don't-
need
I
to get the
just-
right mix of people and contributions and figure out whether we want to use the GRT and/or the bonding capacity. But as you say, if you're going to do the GO, you're going to have some tax increase, whether you like that part or not. But
And then it would
again,
be November before we could.
that would be the soonest that we could do an election.
So we can't get it on the primary in June, it's too soon, or it's too close.
That's correct. So Rachel's going to have to correct me, but if we pass it by May, it'll be in time for the November election. I think we can go all the way up to June, but if there's a second page on there, then the city is responsible for that second page of the election.
Or the ballot.
So can you put some numbers together for are we calling it the rededication of Lita, and then maybe the GRT that we were talking about? I think both of those are probably not bad options for us. I'm not in favor I mean, I think if we're going to do it, we should do it right, is what I'm saying. I think if we're going to build it, we should build it right. I like the idea, but with any quality of life, I'm calling them quality of life projects. I think we should be able to host events in our city, and we're not doing enough of that, not with soccer, not with anything. And I know you mentioned Hobbs earlier. I'll just tell you, Hobbs has oil and gas that we don't. And so that's how they get, I know. I don't want to get like into a big discussion, but I understand why they have what they have. But and the reason I brought that up is because I don't think that we should do without just because of that, especially if we have these options. I know we have to think, into the future. I don't really like the idea of maxing out our bonding capacity. That's a little scary to me. I think we need to have.
We were pretty close in 2014
Yeah.
with the two, and I mean, here we are 10 years later, and we're finally able
We
to.
have that breathing.
So when I
room.
came in on 19, we were really, we were getting there. I just want to make a comment about the Holloman. Holloman has 2 pools that they already have to maintain. They're not going to give money to the city of Alamogordo to
Right.
have another pool, so.
Well, and you mentioned the schools, but the schools are trying to build a middle school, and they don't even have the money for that. So I don't think we're going to get any money from them.
And that's
Yeah.
where we took our stand, where we came to when the direction was first given to us. I believe it was under Ronnie, and then Belinda took it over, is how can we, the city, do this and not depend on anybody else? Because once
Right.
we tried to get the Champaign version with everybody's like, yeah, we'll put in, and then when it came down and dollar signs were there, nobody put in. So we had to scale it back to what the city could afford.
And I think it says something that we do have options, and I think that says something about our city. Honestly, our city, our finance, our administration, the whole thing, that we actually have those options. When we start talking about these other entities, and we're like, no way, at least we don't have to say that, at least we do have options. So maybe just put that together and then get that to us. And I'm particularly interested in, again, the LIDA and then the GRT route. I think that's something that we really need to explore, and I think we could get it done faster.
So I guess my question to the commission is the GO bond completely out? Are we focusing completely on
I think we need to leave it on the
GRT?
table.
Okay.
We need to,
You
I'd like to
definitely-
look at all options.
Okay.
If we can rededicate LIDA and use that as a portion of it as the down payment, and then maybe do the GO bond for the financing portion
Okay.
of it. So it's a little more secure on ours, with our GRTs, they can go up and down.
Okay, so we'll present options of all GO bond, all GRT, and a combination of.
Yeah, it's a little overwhelming to see it here, and so maybe if we could get that like in writing where we have time to
Could we get a little
go
bit
home
more?
and study.
A little bit more information on this spring structure he was talking about?
I will.
Can we get a little bit more info or
Yeah, we will.
or if they could maybe tell us where one is built so we could check it out?
It's Castle Rock, but Colorado is totally different than New Mexico.
We can't, I'm sorry, we can't hear you.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
When I lived in
Not
Northern
following the norm
California,
here.
we had a pool with the same structure, and it was wonderful, and it lasted a long time. It's a military base, it's Coast Guard Base Training Center Petaluma, if you guys
How
want
long's
to
a
check it
long
out.
time though?
I mean, I don't know how long it was there
Because like if
before
we
my
bond,
time.
if we bond this, it's, you know, we got 20 years worth of payments. And, oh, sorry.
Paul's question, there is one in New Mexico.
Okay.
So I did a quick search, actually, when that question came up, and it looks like there is a sprung structure in Church Rock, New Mexico. It's actually currently a casino, so it's not the pool, but it is a sprung structure, and they have had it since November 19 of 2008. So, I mean, that's one that I know that is in New Mexico.
Okay. I just worry about the longevity of that structure, but ours is going to be a little different because of the humidity inside the building.
So we will get you the 16 million and the 12.5 million, all bond, all GO bond, all GRT, and a combination of something else for, we'll try.
And we'll compare the brick and mortar with the sprung, and that way you'll have a good
Yeah, that would be
more of a
good.
comparison.
Okay.
Anything else for me?
I think we accomplished what we set out to do tonight, was to get the seed planted, get the preliminaries out here so that you could see what was going on, give us some direction so that we know where to go from here. But I think the staff and certainly the community has put a lot of time and effort into this over the last several years, apparently. And so it's kind of neat that it's starting to come to fruition and be able to be brought to the table. So we appreciate the mayor and the commission hearing all of these comments tonight, and we'll take what you've given us and we'll try to finalize some numbers so that you can make informed decisions before we get to the deadline in May-ish. So we'll get that working.
Thank you, and thank you to the staff for all your work. We really appreciate that. So I look forward to moving on with this because I think it's going to be good for our community. So. All righty. Is there anything else? We're going to move on to item 9 if there's nothing else.
Let's move on to item 9.
Okay. Item 9, consider and act upon the budget process and documents for fiscal year 2024, 2025 preliminary budget. And Evelyn.
You notice, Evelyn, how many people want to stay and listen to your
Well,
presentation?
yes, the budget has that effect on people. You hear the word budget.
5 minutes, we should be done.
I don't have a PowerPoint, so. All right, Mayor Pro Tem Commissioners, so it is that time of year again. We have had our city manager director meetings for the budget, and we are in the process of cleaning up some of the final stuff before we start looking at personnel and capital, before we bring the recommendation to you all that first week in May. So as usual, I am here to talk to you about documents that we have provided before and what type of documents or information you would like to see this year. For the 2 new commissioners, we try and give you as much information as possible. The other commissioners will tell you it's like drinking from a fire hose. No matter what, the budget's tough. It's a lot of information. So for the past several years, we have been giving every commissioner the binder that has the summary sheets, as you guys are all used to seeing. So we have produced this binder in paper form for every commissioner, and then also last year we also sent it out electronically. So my questions to you, are you comfortable with that? And then my second question is, we've also then created the detail binder. We usually do 2 or 3. We leave them in the commission office. They're there for you to take home if you choose, versus creating 7 of these. We do have a new software system now, so it's not quite as cumbersome in terms of the amount of pages, but it's still the same information. And again, we'll be able to send this electronically this year as well. So you would receive the summary book, the detail book electronically, a paper version of the summary book for each person, and then 3 of the detail books available for loan. So question, is everybody happy with that, or is there something different?
Those are 3 options, right?
Those are like 6 options.
Okay, we're happy.
You're happy? Okay. Basically, everybody gets one of these. You can loan this one out from the library, and it'll all be in your email.
We'll make it work.
Anybody have any questions?
If we,
Everybody okay with the way we've been doing it? Mr. Tapley, you good with it? Okay.
I will be.
All right.
Is there anything?
It will all make sense, I
Any
promise.
different information for the commissioners that have heard the song and dance before? Is there any different information that you all want included this year that we haven't included in the past? Or for those of you that have been on a while, something we included in the past that we haven't done the last couple of years?
we doing a bunch of capital this year, or?
We'll see. We haven't finished our first recap yet. We should probably have that by tomorrow. And that, of course, we need to make sure that we can operate before the departments have until March 17th to finish their capital submissions
requests, okay.
and submit them. And then City Manager Holden will look at the capital requests along with the personnel requests and then make recommendations.
One quick
the good
question,
work.
it's kind of budget related, but did we receive any ICIP money this year? Or any capital from the state?
So from
Yes.
this last session?
Uh-huh.
So yes, we, preliminary, because she hasn't signed anything.
Uh-huh.
Preliminarily, we did receive all of the projects that we had requested, so the 5, so I have them on my
I don't
phone.
remember what they were, so,
I do, I have them on my phone, actually.
sorry, I meant to
Thought it
ask
was
this
like $12
earlier.
million or something.
I don't think we got that much,
I
but maybe.
I think that's what I heard today, but I could be wrong.
So we received the police vehicles. We received, oh, she sent me the entire list. Okay, let me scroll down here.
Maybe it wasn't that much. I
If you guys
thought-
want to send it out in an email or whatever, that's fine too.
So we received $400,000 for the project we requested at the zoo. We received $350,000 for the zoo restroom, $147,000 for Dudley School, $350,000 for golf course irrigation, $125,000 for the library patio, $340,000 for the police vehicles, and then on a separate request, we received an additional $695,000 for the golf course irrigation.
So how much was that? Maybe what I heard was the total for Otero County.
Yeah, because there were some big ones.
There were some big
Yeah.
ones. Maybe that's what I
2.5 to
heard.
3
yeah.
million, something like that?
Yeah, about 2.5.
2.5.
Because, yeah, there were some big ones. The county got some pretty substantial amounts of money. And then the college received $2.625 million
Okay,
to
then that's what I
renovate,
heard.
to renovate the Rehovic and then to demolish some of their older buildings. And like the Space Hall got 1.01 million for some of their upgrades that they're trying to do. So some pretty large
Okay.
chunks
Then
that
that's
came
what I
in.
heard. I just heard Otero.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
About for the entire county.
Okay. All right. So everybody's good with the way the budget is going to be presented?
We're gonna do it, I don't know if you guys have set it up yet, but we'll do the 3 or 4 days in the evenings again
So yes, it is scheduled for
sometime in May.
May. It is scheduled for, the first night would be May 6th.
Okay.
We also plan on bringing some additional information about the water rates and probably asking for action on those water rates during the second night. So it's not going to be a one-nighter this time. It's definitely going to be at least 2. So mark that on your calendars. May
She
6th,
did
7th,
that-
and
She
8th.
did that on purpose, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
They've drugged me into it
All
now.
right, they're gonna blame you, Rick, they're gonna blame you, so.
All right, that sounds great. And then, of course, as always, if anybody has any questions on the budget or wants to get a jump start, we're always available in finance to have a chat.
Thank you.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Second.
Oh, we gotta wait for her, yeah.
Okay.
There we go.
Sorry, my daughter was very sick today. If that's it, nothing else?
You already got a motion and a second.
I have a motion from, say it again, thank you, Commissioner
adjourn.
Reardon, and a second from Commissioner Robinson. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, and we are adjourned.
Good job.
All right.
Microphone off.